beyond the distant galactic rim of Andromeda, where stars were but faint specks on the velvet black canvas of the cosmos, existed a peculiar planet named Aethel. It was not a blue gem or a barren rock, but a living entity, a colossal organic construct with energy veins running deep beneath its glowing vegetative crust. The species inhabiting Aethel, collectively known as the Aethelian, had no fixed form. They were pure energy beings, capable of merging with any organic matter and shaping it at will. Their knowledge was not stored in brains but within a symbiotic network called the core of eternity, where every Aethelian's memory, experience, and emotion were shared and perpetually preserved. Lyra was a young Aethelian, yet to take a physical form, she remained a stream of energy, drifting within the warm expanse of the core of eternity, absorbing millennia of knowledge from her predecessors. Her existence was a symphony of memory and ceaseless learning. Yet, in one fateful moment, a catastrophic event occurred. A violent energy shockwave, of unknown origin, tore through the core of eternity. Millions of Aethelian vanished in a blinding flash, and the memories, the millennia of carefully preserved knowledge, suddenly became chaotic, fractured. Lyra, somehow, was flung out of the core of eternity before its complete collapse. She drifted in cosmic space, a shapeless, directionless energy current, carrying fragmented memories of thousands of other Aethelian, without the core of eternity to absorb and organize them. These memories became a burden, a chaotic nightmare in her mind. At times, she felt like a formidable warrior, at others a profound sage, or a child at play. She did not know who she was, where she came from, or why she was here. Only one memory, a vague image of a colossal, glowing crystal tower and a feeling of utter loss, remained intact within her, like a flickering lighthouse in the dark night of her memories. After decades of aimless drifting, Lyra's energy gradually depleted. Her energy body faded, like a candle about to go out. In the final moment of desperation, she was drawn into a small, pristine planet hidden in a forgotten star system. This planet, covered by lush primeval forests and clear blue rivers, radiated abundant life energy. Her survival instinct told Lyra that she had to form a body, or she would vanish forever. With her last ounce of strength, Lyra forced the chaotic energy currents within her to merge with an organic physical form. It was a human body, small and fragile, yet with a complex structure she had never encountered in the core of eternity. The shaping process was painful and slow. She felt new neural pathways forming, muscles contracting, and a heart beating rapidly in her chest. When she opened her eyes, dazzling sunlight streamed into her new vision. She saw her small hands, her hazel hair, and her soft skin. She had a physical form, but the chaotic memories still swirled in her head, leaving her dazed. She did not know where she was, what her name was, or the purpose of this existence. Only the image of the crystal tower and the feeling of loss persisted. Alone on an alien planet, with an entirely new body and a mind full of fragments, Lyra began her journey to rediscover herself and uncover the truth behind the Aethelian catastrophe. She knew that the crystal tower was somehow the key. On the alien planet, Lyra spent her first days adapting to her new body. Every sense was an overwhelming experience, the wind caressing her skin, the scent of wild flowers, the sweet taste of ripe fruit, and the rustling sound of leaves. She learned to walk, to breathe, to feel gravity pulling her down. This connection to the organic world, though strange, also provided a sense of stability she had never possessed as a mere energy current. The chaotic memories still lingered, but they gradually became less intense, like raging waves now mere ripples. She began to explore her surroundings. The planet seemed to show no signs of advanced civilization, only endless primeval forests interspersed with clear rivers and lakes. Lyra realized that although her self-memory was fragmented, she still retained the ability to sense and control the elemental energies of the planet. She could feel the flow of underground water, the vitality of plants, and even the vibrations of rocks beneath the earth. This was part of her Aethelian nature, even though stripped of the core of eternity. She still retained the fundamental abilities of her species. During her wanderings, Lyra stumbled upon an ancient stone structure, hidden deep within a primeval forest. It was a colossal stone circle, carved with intricate patterns that Lyra felt strangely familiar with, as if they lay deep within her subconscious. When she touched one of the stones, a warm surge of energy passed through her body. In that moment, a clearer memory flashed, an image of the crystal tower. But this time with added details of a massive, swirling energy vortex gate opening beside it, and a feeling of terrifying dread encompassing it. This memory was not just an image, but an emotion, a warning from the past. This event awakened a new yearning in Lyra, the desire to learn more about the stone structure and what it might reveal. She spent weeks, even months, studying the patterns, trying to decipher their meaning. By using her energy sensing abilities, Lyra realized that the patterns were not just images, but energy maps, leading to other energy convergence points on the planet. She had discovered an ancient energy network running throughout the planet, and this stone structure was one of its nodes. In the process of deciphering, Lyra inadvertently activated a hidden mechanism. A brilliant blue beam of light shot from the center of the stone circle straight up into the sky, piercing through the cloud layer and vanishing into space. Lyra did not know what this beam meant, but she felt a strong urge to follow it. And then, one day, a spaceship landed at the edge of the forest, not far from where Lyra was. It was a small ship, with an unusual design, unlike anything Lyra had encountered in any of her memory fragments. From within the ship stepped a tall, muscular creature with gray skin and glowing yellow eyes. It was a Vorak, a warrior race renowned throughout the galaxy. Lyra's memories resurfaced, this time fragments of wars and the brutality of the Vorak. But this creature did not seem aggressive. It walked straight to the stone circle and began examining it with complex devices. Lyra, in her fragile human form, hid in the bushes, observing every action of the stranger. After a while of examination, the Vorak sighed, its face filled with disappointment. It muttered in a language Lyra did not understand, but the general feeling was of an unsuccessful search. Before leaving, the Vorak left a small glowing device on a rock. After the Vorac's ship took off and disappeared into the sky, Lyra carefully approached the device. It was a type of three-dimensional holographic projector, displaying a moving image of the crystal tower, but this time with lines of code running around it. The appearance of the Vorak in the device confirmed Lyra's belief. The crystal tower was not just a memory but a real existing entity. And it seemed that other forces were also looking for it. The image of the crystal tower on the projector, combined with the lines of code, suggested that it was a technological construct rather than just a natural formation. A new purpose took shape in Lyra's mind. She had to reach the crystal tower, not only to regain her memories but also to understand why these forces were interested in it. Her path would not only be a search for self but also a journey of discovery and confrontation with the mysteries of the universe. With the image of the crystal tower on the three-dimensional projector and the enigmatic lines of code, Lyra realized that finding the tower was not merely a matter of following energy trails. She needed to decipher the information. She took the Vorac's device with her, spending months studying it. Although the Vorac's language and technology were alien, Lyra's Aethelian nature allowed her to sense the energy flow and logic within the device. Gradually, she began to understand some basic symbols, numbers, and spatial coordinates. In the process of deciphering, Lyra discovered something astonishing. These lines of code were not just coordinates, they also contained fragments of historical data. Brief records of various events and locations throughout the galaxy. One of these data fragments concerned an event called the Great Fall, where an unknown force had devastated many advanced civilizations, including vague indications of a destroyed energy tower. Lyra felt a strange connection between this energy tower and the crystal tower in her memory. To verify this information, Lyra needed to leave the pristine planet. The problem was, she had no spaceship. Lyra spent a lot of time re-examining the Vorac's ship through the traces left on the ground. She found an underground cave hidden deep within the nearby mountains, containing a large amount of raw energy ore glowing faintly in the dark. With her elemental control abilities, Lyra gradually refined the ore, creating purer energy blocks. She also found ancient technical drawings carved on the cave walls. It seemed the previous inhabitants of this planet also had a rudimentary civilization. Combining her knowledge of energy and the crude drawings, Lyra began an ambitious task, building a basic flying device. Not a complex spaceship, but an aerodynamic glider powered by refined energy from the ore. This process demanded extraordinary patience and thousands of failed attempts. Lyra faced exploding components, energy overload incidents, and dangerously uncontrolled descents, but each failure taught her something new, and fragmented memories of mechanics and physics from the core of eternity flashed, guiding her. Finally, after months of strenuous labor, a crude but functional glider was ready for launch. Lyra used the coordinates from the Vexis device and the deciphered data to set her first objective, an abandoned space station located in a nearby asteroid belt. This space station was mentioned in some of the Vexis data fragments as an ancient information repository. Lyra believed this was where she could find more clues about the Crystal Tower and her origins. The journey to the space station was arduous. Lyra's glider was very basic, lacking sophisticated defense or navigation systems. She had to manually avoid massive asteroids and control the craft with her keen energy sense. The starry night sky was no longer a romantic view but a perilous ocean. Upon reaching the space station, Lyra realized it had been abandoned for millennia. Its outer hull was corroded by cosmic radiation, and the air inside was almost depleted. With what little energy she had left, Lyra created a thin atmospheric shield around herself and entered. Inside, everything was shrouded in darkness and an eerie silence. The power systems were dead, and the long corridors were covered in dust and cosmic cobwebs. In a dilapidated central control room, Lyra found a main console that was partially intact. With her Aethelian abilities, she channeled energy into the console. The screen flickered, and ancient texts and diagrams appeared. This was not the Vexis language, but an even older one, similar to the symbols on the stone circle she found on the planet. Lyra realized this was the language of the ancient Aethelian, the ones who built the Crystal Tower. From the console, Lyra downloaded a vast amount of data. It contained detailed records of the core of eternity, Aethelian technology, and especially a secret project related to the Crystal Tower. This project was designed to protect Aethelian from external destruction, and involved creating a cosmic energy shield. But most notably, there was a video recording of a colossal, moth-like creature emerging from a massive spatial rift and attacking the Crystal Tower, causing the Great Fall and the collapse of the core of eternity. The creature was called the Eater of Realities. The final piece of the data was a precise coordinate of the Crystal Tower and a warning. The Crystal Tower was not completely destroyed. It had been distorted and was hidden in a sub-dimension, a place where only those capable of manipulating energy and transcending spatial limits could access. Lyra stared at the last lines of text. She was no longer a lost individual. She was an Aethelian, and she knew her enemy. Her mission was not just to regain her memories, but to confront the Eater of Realities and, perhaps, prevent another catastrophe. With the precise coordinates and information about the sub-dimension, Lyra faced her greatest challenge yet: how to enter another dimension. Her crude glider lacked the power to transcend the barrier of reality. This time, Lyra would not only rely on memory fragments but also employ all of her Aethelian abilities. She returned to the pristine planet, to the ancient stone circle where she had awakened her abilities. Lyra spent weeks meditating, connecting with the underground energy network. She felt the planet's flow, the vibrations of reality, and began to manipulate them. Data from the space station told Lyra that the Crystal Tower was not just a physical structure but a colossal energy amplification tool. And it had shifted itself into a hidden dimension for self-preservation. To access it, Lyra needed to create a reality intersection point. By manipulating the planet's energy, Lyra transformed the stone circle into an energy transfer gate. She continuously channeled purified energy from raw ore into the stones, causing them to glow brilliantly and vibrate intensely. This process demanded absolute focus and extraordinary endurance. The energy overload nearly tore Lyra's organic body apart multiple times, rendering her unconscious from exhaustion. But each time she awoke, the image of the Eater of Realities and the shattered core of eternity spurred her on. Finally, after much effort, a massive emerald-green spatial gateway appeared at the center of the stone circle. It swirled like a miniature cosmic vortex, emitting strange, rustling sounds. Lyra felt the stretching of reality, an invisible but incredibly strong pressure. Knowing this was her only chance, She took a deep breath and stepped into the gateway. The sensation of passing through the gateway was a chaotic blur of senses. Everything became indistinct, twisted, as if she were being pulled through a tunnel of light and sound. When the sensation subsided, Lyra found herself standing on an unfamiliar landscape. This was a surreal place, where the laws of physics seemed to bend. The sky shifted in an endless kaleidoscope of colors. From blue to purple, pink, and yellow, objects floated in the air. Rivers flowed upwards into the sky, and mountains were formed from glowing crystals. This was the sub-dimension, where the crystal tower was hidden. And there it was, on the horizon, standing majestically, a colossal crystal tower, shimmering with golden light. It was not as intact as in Lyra's memory. A large crack, like a giant scar, ran from the top of the tower down to its base, and a part of it seemed to have been eaten away by something. That was the mark of the Eater of Realities. As Lyra approached, she realized the crystal tower was not just a structure, but a gigantic laboratory, containing the most advanced technologies of the Aethelian. The tower's levels were connected by transparent energy staircases, and thousands of smaller crystals rotated around a central axis, emitting controlled beams of light. However, everything was silent. There were no signs of Aethelian life, only dormant machines and corrupted data. When Lyra touched the crystal wall of the tower, a clear and intense memory flooded her. She saw herself as an Aethelian, working in the tower, researching how to sustain the core of eternity. She saw her colleagues, familiar faces she had now forgotten. She saw an urgent warning being broadcast throughout the core of eternity about a threat from the void approaching. And then, she witnessed the terrifying moment when the Eater of Realities appeared, tearing open space and attacking the tower, causing the core of eternity to collapse. This memory not only helped Lyra understand the catastrophe better, but it also restored a part of her true Aethelian nature. She felt the energy within her grow stronger. Her elemental control abilities became more refined, and some knowledge of Aethelian technology was also recovered. She realized that the crystal tower was the anchor of the core of eternity, and its existence, though damaged, still kept a portion of the core of eternity from completely vanishing. Lyra also sensed a faint energy frequency emanating from deep within the tower. Like a call from the past. Perhaps, a part of the core of eternity still survived. However, Lyra was not alone in this place. Just as she had regained her memories, a horrific sound echoed throughout the sub-dimension. It was the groaning of tearing space, and Lyra felt a terrifying vibration in the air. From a newly formed rift on the horizon, a colossal Vorak appeared. Not the Vorak she had encountered before, but a much more ferocious creature, armed with powerful energy weapons and with an unusually mutated appearance. Lyra's restored memories told her that these were energy Voraks, individuals affected by the chaotic energy of the Eater of Realities, becoming Quang Bao, maniacal, and much stronger. Clearly, the Vorak had followed Lyra's energy signature into this dimension. Conflict was inevitable. Lyra knew she had to protect the crystal tower, for it was the key to saving the core of eternity and restoring her species. The energy Vorak was not merely an enemy. Its body pulsed with faint purple light, and its attacks carried chaotic energy, distorting the surrounding environment. Lyra sensed the devastation this creature could inflict if it reached the crystal tower. You are the source of this chaos," Lyra exclaimed, her voice echoing in the distorted dimension. The Vorak roared, showing no sign of understanding Lyra's language. It unleashed a beam of distorted plasma, causing the air around it to twist and boil. Lyra swiftly dodged, using her energy manipulation abilities to create a thin botanical shield from the glowing crystals around her. The shield vibrated violently but held firm. The battle began. Lyra moved with agility, using her speed and flexibility in her organic body to evade the Vorac's powerful attacks. She could not directly confront its raw strength. Instead, Lyra focused on weakening her enemy by manipulating the environmental energy. She made the crystals beneath the Vorac's feet vibrate intensely. Throwing it off balance, she created powerful swirling gusts of wind, pushing back the plasma beams it fired. However, the energy Vorak was too strong. Despite being diverted, it launched continuous attacks, destroying the environment around Lyra. A critical blow from it narrowly missed Lyra, sending her crashing into a crystal wall of the tower. The impact stung Lyra, and another fragmented memory flashed, an image of an ancient Aethelian defense technique. Using one's own energy to create a temporary energy armor. With renewed determination, Lyra focused her energy. She felt every cell in her body, every energy current in the damaged core of eternity within her. She channeled Aethelian energy into her body, creating a glowing green energy armor that enveloped her. This armor not only helped her withstand blows but also amplified her senses, allowing her to feel the Vorac's energy flow more clearly. Now, Lyra could retaliate. She realized that while the energy Vorac was powerful, it was also affected by the chaotic energy it generated. There were energy weak points on its body, where its energy was not well controlled. Lyra launched focused energy blasts, aiming at those weak points. Each of her attacks caused small cracks on the Vorac's hide, making it roar in pain. In a moment of chaos, when the energy Vorac was off guard, Lyra noticed a faint energy frequency from deep within the crystal tower growing stronger. It was the call of the core of eternity, a plea for help, a sign of life. This energy source was being disturbed and weakened by the energy Vorac. If Lyra didn't act fast, the remaining part of the core of eternity would be permanently damaged. Lyra knew she had to end the battle. She couldn't allow the Vorac to continue harming the tower. With all her remaining strength, she charged at the energy Vorac. It roared, preparing to unleash a final attack. But Lyra was faster. She pierced through its defenses, aiming directly for a massive energy convergence point on the Vorac's chest, where the purple light swirled most intensely. Lyra concentrated all her energy, creating a pure energy punch enveloped in her Aethelian armor. The punch tore through the Vorac's hide, releasing a blinding green energy burst. The energy Vorac vibrated violently. The purple light on its body extinguished, and it collapsed to the ground with a resounding thud, dissolving into energy dust. After the energy Vorac was destroyed, the sub-dimension became eerily silent. Lyra gasped, exhausted. The energy armor around her faded, and she felt her body ache. But she had succeeded. She had protected the crystal tower. Now, Lyra could feel the call of the core of eternity more clearly. It was waiting for her, deep inside the tower. With her recent victory, Lyra entered the crystal tower. The air inside the tower was cold and still, yet Lyra could feel a faint but persistent energy frequency guiding her deeper within. She walked through vast, transparent crystal corridors, where ancient Aethelian devices lay dormant. Many areas had been heavily damaged by the Eater of Reality's attack. Colossal cracks ran through the levels. Shattered crystals lay scattered, and distorted pieces of machinery were strewn about. Lyra descended to the lower levels of the tower, where the light grew dimmer. Fragmented memories constantly flashed in her mind, helping her recognize laboratories, control centers, and even living quarters of the Aethelian. She saw images of Aethelian scientists working tirelessly, trying to find ways to counter the threat from the void. She also felt their fear and despair as the catastrophe struck. Finally, Lyra reached a large black crystal door, protected by a faint energy field. She recognized this door led to the crystal core, the heart of the tower and the place where the core of eternity was anchored. With her partially restored energy manipulation abilities, Lyra touched the door. The energy field flickered and then died out, and the door slowly opened, revealing a vast space bathed in a soft blue light. Inside was a colossal energy lake, shimmering like a miniature sea of stars. This was the core of eternity, or at least a part of it. This energy lake constantly shifted its form, as if it were breathing, and multicolored streams of light swirled within it. Lyra felt an intense connection to it, a sense of belonging she had never experienced since her awakening. This was her home, the soul of her species. However, the energy lake was not whole. Lyra noticed colossal energy fissures running across the lake, and streams of light were broken, unable to connect. Like a damaged blood vessel, it was leaking energy and could not function at full capacity. The echo Lyra had sensed now became clearer. It was a symphony of pain, chaos, and a fierce desire to be healed. This was the desperate cry of the remaining Aethelian souls, memory fragments drifting within the damaged core. As Lyra approached the energy lake, a clear and complete memory flooded her, more powerful than any memory before. She saw herself as Lyra, a young Aethelian scientist, part of the pioneering research team on the core of eternity. She had witnessed the moment the Eater of Realities appeared and attacked. She remembered how the elder Aethelian had sacrificed themselves to activate the tower's self-preservation mode, shifting it into this sub-dimension, and attempting to preserve a small portion of the core of eternity. She also recalled her final mission, to activate an emergency signal across dimensions, hoping someone in the future would find the tower and help. It was this signal, partly amplified by the stone circle on the pristine planet, that had attracted the Vorak ship and led Lyra back here. When the core of eternity collapsed, Lyra had been pushed out, unconsciously protected by the core itself, with the hope that she might survive and one day return. The complete memory restored Lyra's true self. She was no longer a lost individual with fragmented memories. She was Lyra, an Aethelian, and she carried the ultimate responsibility of her species. She understood that her mission was not only to restore the core of eternity but also to stop the Eater of Realities, the enemy lurking somewhere in the universe. But how to heal the core? Lyra had no answer yet. She needed to find a pure and powerful energy source, capable of mending the fissures and regenerating the destroyed energy circuits. And more importantly, she needed a method to deal with the Eater of Realities, the enemy lurking somewhere in the universe. Suddenly, from the depths of the damaged core of eternity, a final and most crucial memory appeared in Lyra's mind. It was an encoded distress signal sent by another Aethelian before the core completely collapsed. This signal contained a hidden coordinate and a phrase: Genesis Sanctuary, Last Hope. With her memories fully restored and a clear mission, Lyra embarked on her journey to find the Genesis Sanctuary. The Crystal Tower, though damaged, was still the last bastion of the Aethelian, and Lyra knew she had to return here after finding a way to heal the core of eternity. With the coordinates of Genesis Sanctuary in her mind, Lyra adjusted her crude glider. This time, she used her newly restored Aethelian knowledge to upgrade it. She reinforced the ship's hull with broken crystal fragments from the tower, amplified the engine with energy circuits salvaged from still operational systems, and even installed a basic energy shield, a precaution for unexpected encounters. The journey to Genesis Sanctuary would be a long and dangerous ordeal. The coordinates indicated a distant region, deep within an ancient nebula known for its spatial anomalies and unstable planets. Lyra knew she would face more dangers than just asteroids or mutated Vorak ships. During the first weeks of her journey, Lyra had to contend with fierce cosmic energy storms, causing her glider to pitch violently and nearly tear apart. She used her energy manipulation abilities to stabilize the ship, navigating through dangerous radiation fluxes and avoiding toxic nebulae. Whenever she felt exhausted, the memories of Aethel's collapse, the faces of her lost loved ones, and the agonizing call of the core of eternity spurred her on. Along the way, Lyra detected a faint distress signal from an abandoned mining station on a nearby asteroid. Though cautious, her instinct to help beings in distress compelled Lyra to approach. Upon landing, she discovered a group of Xylos miners trapped. The Xylos were tall, humanoid creatures with greenish skin and the ability to communicate using sound waves. They had been attacked by a group of space pirates who raided their station, leaving them without a ship or supplies. Initially, the Xylos were suspicious of Lyra, but as she used her Aethelian abilities to repair their broken air filtration system and provide them with emergency rations she carried, they gradually trusted her. Lyra decided to help them. She used her knowledge of mechanics from her Aethelian memory fragments to repair the engine system of one of their damaged mining vessels. Although it was a complex task, with Lyra's persistence and keen energy sense, the ship was operational again. In gratitude for saving their lives, the leader of the Xylos group, a male named Kale, gifted Lyra a rare navigation crystal they had found in the ore. This crystal not only provided a far more advanced navigation system than the Voraci's device but also had the ability to wirelessly transmit data over vast distances. Kale said the crystal was a blessing of the stars, and it would guide Lyra to the place where all hope begins. With the navigation crystal, Lyra's journey became much easier. The advanced navigation system helped her avoid potential dangers and find safer paths through the nebula. She also used the crystal's data transmission capabilities to search for information about the Eater of Realities and Genesis Sanctuary. She discovered ancient legends about a primordial energy source located at the heart of the universe, capable of healing all wounds and regenerating everything. However, that information wasn't all. Lyra also uncovered a warning from an extinct species who had attempted to fight the Eater of Realities in the past. The warning read, "The Eater of Realities does not merely consume matter. It consumes memory and truth. It distorts reality, and those affected by it become its tools. Beware the imposter." This warning sent shivers down Lyra's spine. It reminded her of the mutated energy Vorak, and a new anxiety about an imposter arose in her mind. As Lyra approached the coordinates of Genesis Sanctuary, she realized that it was not a planet, but a colossal spatial construct, enveloped by a dense energy mist. The navigation crystal guided Lyra through a hidden entrance within the mist, a narrow corridor leading inside the structure. Lyra didn't hesitate. The warning about the imposter and Genesis Sanctuary, last hope, urged her forward. Her improved glider glided through the dense energy mist surrounding the sanctuary. This mist not only reduced visibility but also interfered with sensor equipment, creating visual and auditory illusions, making Lyra feel as if she were drifting through a chaotic dream. As she delved deeper, Lyra realized this mist was not a natural phenomenon. It was a sophisticated defense system, designed to conceal and protect the sanctuary from intruders. Lyra sensed complex energy currents swirling within the mist, like invisible electrical currents. She realized that without the Xylos navigation crystal, she would have been utterly lost or trapped indefinitely. The crystal emitted a guiding blue light, piercing through the mist, showing her the safe path. After a long and challenging journey through the mist, Lyra's glider finally passed through an invisible barrier and gently landed in a vast open space within the structure. Inside the Genesis Sanctuary was an unbelievable sight. It was not a planet or a space station, but a gigantic, cosmic nursery. Thousands of crystal fragments of all sizes, from tiny specks to colossal boulders, floated in the air, each emitting a different light, creating a dazzling symphony of colors. Pure, transparent energy streams flowed through the crystals, connecting them into a vibrant network. Lyra sensed a powerful and pure life energy unlike any she had ever felt, a primordial, abundant energy source capable of healing and regenerating everything. This was undoubtedly the energy the core of eternity needed. As Lyra exited her ship and touched the crystal floor, a colossal crystal at the center of the nursery began to glow more intensely. From within the crystal, a three-dimensional projection emerged. It was the image of an ancient Aethelian, with a majestic stature and wise eyes. This was Thoth, one of the supreme Aethelian, who had once been part of the core of eternity and had played a crucial role in creating the Crystal Tower and Genesis Sanctuary. "Welcome, Lyra, I have been waiting for you." Thoth's voice echoed throughout the space, not with sound but with energy vibrations directly into Lyra's mind. "You have endured the arduous journey to reach this place. You carry the fragments of the core of eternity within you. It is a miracle." Thoth explained that the Genesis Sanctuary was not just an energy repository. It was a secondary, memory bank, created by the ancient Aethelian millions of years ago to preserve a portion of their purest knowledge and energy. It was designed to activate when the main core of eternity was threatened or destroyed, with the purpose of providing resources for reconstruction. The Eater of Realities, though powerful, could not consume the pure energy and protected memories within Genesis Sanctuary. To heal the core of eternity, you must connect your being with this central crystal. Thoth continued, pointing to the colossal crystal. "It will transmit pure energy and our most primal memories into you. And you will then become a living conduit to restore the core of eternity. But this process will be incredibly painful and dangerous. It will test your will and your limits." Thoth also revealed a more terrifying secret about the Eater of Realities. The Eater of Realities is no ordinary creature. It is a space-time entity, existing across dimensions. Its purpose is not merely to consume physical matter, but to destroy the very existence of knowledge, memory, and truth, to create a universe of chaos and oblivion. Those it transforms, like the energy Vorak you faced, are merely its unwitting tools. And most importantly, Thoth added, his voice deepening, The Eater of Realities has the ability to disguise and impersonate. It can possess and transform the forms of weak-willed beings, turning them into imposters to deceive and sabotage from within. You must be extremely cautious. Lyra, our enemy may not only come from the outside. Thoth's warning sent shivers down Lyra's spine. An impostor. Could someone she had met, or would meet, be a tool of the Eater of Realities? Her mission was not just to heal the core of eternity, but also to confront a cunning and far more dangerous enemy than she had imagined. Lyra didn't hesitate. Thoth's warning about the impostor and the urgency of the damaged core of eternity compelled her to act. She knew there was no time for hesitation. With a deep breath, Lyra stepped towards the colossal central crystal, its golden light enveloping her. As Lyra touched the cool surface of the crystal, a surge of primordial and pure energy flooded into her. It was unlike any energy flow she had ever felt, not the chaotic swirl from the damaged core of eternity, nor the raw energy from the pristine planet. This was the energy of creation, of life, of primal knowledge. Along with it, a torrent of memories poured into Lyra's mind, but this time not fragmented pieces, but complete streams of knowledge about the origins of the Aethelian, the formation of the universe, about civilizations that had existed and vanished. She felt herself becoming part of something much grander, a part of cosmic history. The process of connecting with the central crystal was excruciatingly painful. Lyra's organic body vibrated violently under the immense energy pressure. Every cell felt as if it were being torn apart and recreated. Memories continuously surged, sometimes overwhelmingly, nearly plunging her into oblivion. She saw visions of destruction, of worlds consumed by the Eater of Realities, and the desperate pleas of beings about to vanish. Physical pain mingled with the spiritual anguish of millions of souls. But Lyra resisted fiercely. In her moments of greatest despair, she clung to the memories of the Crystal Tower, of the core of eternity awaiting her, of the dear Aethelian faces. She remembered her mission, not just to find herself, but to save her species. The call of the core of eternity, though faint, still echoed in her mind, fueling her onward. Gradually, the pain subsided, and a deep sense of harmony arose. Lyra felt the primordial energy of Genesis' sanctuary perfectly intertwining with the Aethelian energy within her. She had become a living conduit, a channel to transmit healing energy to the core of eternity. Her energy manipulation abilities were elevated immensely. She could sense and manipulate energy flows with absolute precision. After the connection process was complete, Lyra felt as if she had been reborn. She looked back at Thoth, whose holographic projection still stood there, but seemed to have faded slightly. "You have succeeded, Lyra," Thoth said, his voice filled with reverence. "You have become the conduit. But the journey to heal the core of eternity will not be simple. You will have to return to the Crystal Tower, to infuse this energy into the damaged core, and you will have to face the Eater of Realities once more." Thoth went on to explain an ancient device hidden deep within Genesis' sanctuary, called the Eye of Time. The Eye of Time was not a time machine, but a cosmic surveillance device, capable of tracking energy fluctuations and changes in spacetime. It was designed to monitor the Eater of Realities. When you return to the Crystal Tower and begin the process of healing the core, the Eater of Realities will surely sense the energy change and will come to stop you. Thoth warned, "You need to activate the Eye of Time to track its path and prepare to confront it." Lyra knew this was a dangerous mission. Healing the core of eternity would be an invitation to the Eater of Realities. But she did not falter. With the new energy and knowledge bestowed upon her, she felt stronger than ever. Lyra bowed to Thoth, expressing her deep gratitude. She knew she was ready for the ultimate challenge. As Lyra left Genesis' sanctuary in her glider, she looked back at the cosmic nursery. It had granted her power and hope, but also served as a reminder of the immense responsibility she now carried. With her new strength and knowledge, Lyra knew that activating the Eye of Time was paramount. It would help her monitor the Eater of Realities and plan her counterattack. She had sensed a familiar energy signature leading to a deeper, hidden area within the Genesis sanctuary, a place Thoth had vaguely alluded to. Lyra returned to her glider, adjusting the coordinates according to her newly restored energy senses. The ship glided through the floating crystals, venturing deeper into an unexplored section of the sanctuary. The space here was eerily silent, as if time itself had stood still. Lyra noticed that the crystals here didn't glow as brightly as in the cosmic nursery. Instead, they absorbed light, creating a dark and mysterious ambiance. Finally, she arrived at a colossal crystal chamber, shrouded in shadows. At the center of the room, a complex spherical structure floated in midair. This was the Eye of Time. It didn't have the appearance of a typical machine, but rather resembled a living organism made of thousands of small, intertwined crystals, emitting gentle energy pulsations. Lyra approached. She sensed an ancient intelligence residing within the Eye of Time. With her new knowledge of Aethelian technology, Lyra knew how to activate it. She placed her hands on the surface of the Eye of Time, channeling the pure energy from Genesis' sanctuary into it. The spherical structure began to glow brilliantly, its crystals spinning faster, and a massive energy screen appeared in midair, displaying a detailed map of the entire galaxy. The screen showed colossal energy flows moving through space, and Lyra immediately recognized a dark, destructive energy signature slowly approaching the subdimension where the crystal tower was hidden. It was the Eater of Realities. It moved slowly but relentlessly, consuming energy and reality in its path, leaving behind a dead and distorted region of space. The Eye of Time also showed that the Eater of Realities was not alone. It was surrounded by an army of mutated entities similar to the energy Vorak Lyra had faced, but far more numerous and powerful. More importantly, the Eye of Time also displayed a secondary signal that Lyra had not detected before. This signal came from deep within the crystal tower, where Lyra had left the damaged core of eternity. It was not a signal of pain, but a signal of deception. Lyra remembered Thoth's warning, the imposter. There was another enemy lurking inside the crystal tower, waiting for her. With the information from the Eye of Time, Lyra had a comprehensive understanding of the threat. She knew the Eater of Realities was coming. She also knew she had to face a cunning and dangerous enemy inside the tower. Lyra wasted no time. She immediately returned to her glider and accelerated to full speed, piercing through the energy mist of Genesis' sanctuary and hurtling straight towards the subdimension. Time was of the essence. The Eater of Realities was drawing near, and any imposter inside the crystal tower would be waiting for the opportune moment to strike. As Lyra approached the crystal tower, she sensed a change in the subdimension. The air grew heavier, and the floating crystals vibrated violently. She realized the Eater of Realities had arrived. From a distance, Lyra could see a colossal spatial rift expanding on the horizon, and from it, dark energy currents poured out, engulfing the crystal tower. Lyra piloted her glider into a gap in the forming energy barrier around the tower. She crash-landed on a crumbling landing platform and rushed inside. The crystal tower was shaking violently, and guttural roars echoed from deep within. When Lyra reached the crystal core, she discovered a horrifying sight. It was not the section of the core of eternity she had left. Instead, an energy projection of Thoth, generated from the damaged core, was being attacked by a dark, humanoid entity with glowing red eyes. This entity was not an energy Vorak. It had an elegant appearance, yet exuded a cold brutality. Lyra sensed a terrifyingly familiar energy from this being, a memory fragment of a force that had betrayed the Aethelian just before the Great Fall. This was the imposter, the one who had been waiting for her. "Who are you?" Lyra roared, ready to fight. The dark entity turned, its red eyes staring directly at Lyra. "I am Vexis," its voice echoed in Lyra's mind, filled with triumph and malice. "And I am the one who will end all that you have built." Vexis's words resonated, cold and full of hatred, echoing in Lyra's mind. Now, all the pieces clicked. Vexis was not merely an imposter but a traitor who had conspired with the Eater of Realities, paving the way for the Aethelian's destruction. He was the imposter Thoth had warned about, the one who had hidden within the crystal tower, waiting for Lyra's return to complete the Eater of Realities' work, the complete obliteration of the core of eternity. Meanwhile, the growling of the Eater of Realities from outside the tower grew louder. Like a death knell, Lyra felt the violent shaking of the tower as the Eater of Realities began to assault its outer crystal shell. The light of the damaged core of eternity within the chamber flickered more weakly, signaling dire urgency. Lyra realized she couldn't divide her attention between Vexis and healing the core. She had to eliminate the internal threat first. You will never succeed, Lyra roared, her voice echoing with fury and determination. She summoned pure energy from Genesis' sanctuary, enveloping her body in a blazing energy armor, far more powerful than the armor she had used against the energy Vorak. Vexis scoffed. He showed no fear, even seemed amused. You have brought me the greatest gift, Lyra, the energy of Genesis' sanctuary. Once I claim it, nothing can stop the Eater of Realities from turning this universe into a void of oblivion. He unleashed dark energy currents, swirling blades of light, hurtling directly at Lyra. Lyra dodged, simultaneously retaliating with pure energy beams fired from her palms. Each of her light beams carried healing and regenerative power, a stark contrast to Vexis's destructive energy. The battle within the crystal core raged fiercely. Vexis was not only powerful but also incredibly cunning. He exploited the environment of the crystal core to create illusions and energy distortions, making it difficult for Lyra to distinguish reality from trickery. He also attempted to channel chaotic energy into the damaged core of eternity, aiming to accelerate its destruction. Lyra had to constantly fight while using Genesis Sanctuary's energy to bolster the core of eternity, thwarting Vexis's efforts. A surprise attack from Vexis pierced Lyra's armor, staggering her. He took advantage of the moment, lunging forward, trying to touch the core of eternity to infuse it with destructive energy. Lyra, though in pain, reacted with lightning speed. She concentrated all her remaining energy, creating a colossal energy wall that blocked Vexis. The wall emitted a blinding light, pushing him back. In that moment, Lyra realized something crucial. Vexis could not absorb the pure energy of Genesis Sanctuary. He could only absorb and distort chaotic energy. That's why he had waited for Lyra to bring the pure energy here to complete his plan. Lyra also realized that Vexis was controlled by the Eater of Realities, and he did not possess complete free will. He was a tool, an imposter under its command. Lyra changed tactics. She no longer simply defended or attacked. She began to overload the crystal core's energy system with pure energy from Genesis Sanctuary. The energy flooded the chamber, causing the crystals to glow brilliantly, and the damaged core of eternity began to stabilize slightly. Vexis roared in anger as he felt the pure energy weakening his ability to manipulate. Lyra knew this was her last chance. With an iron will, she charged at Vexis. This time, she didn't use focused energy blasts. Instead, she created a net of pure energy, enveloping Vexis. This energy net caused no physical harm, but it disrupted Vexis's connection to the Eater of Realities, weakening its control over him. Vexis shrieked in agony. His body flickered, and dark energy currents escaped from him. Lyra tightened the energy net, and finally, Vexis collapsed to the floor, dissolving into energy dust. The imposter had been defeated. With Vexis eliminated, Lyra could fully focus on healing the core of eternity. But outside the tower, the Eater of Realities was closer than ever. With Vexis defeated, Lyra wasted no time. She felt the violent shaking of the crystal tower as the Eater of Realities began its direct assault. Time was running out. She had to heal the core of eternity immediately. Lyra approached the colossal energy lake. With all the pure energy from Genesis Sanctuary flowing within her, she focused her will, becoming a true living conduit. She placed both hands into the damaged core of eternity. A blinding stream of azure and golden light flowed from Lyra, merging with the chaotic energy currents of the core. The healing process was an equally arduous battle. Lyra felt every crack, every rupture in the core of eternity's energy structure. She had to precisely guide the pure energy, mending every destroyed energy circuit, regenerating every shattered memory crystal. The core's pain, the desperate cries of millions of scattered Aethelian souls, resonated in Lyra's mind. She felt exhausted, but she could not stop. She was the last hope of her species. While Lyra was focused on healing the core, the crystal tower shook more violently. The roar of the Eater of Realities echoed throughout space, along with the sound of shattering crystal fragments. The sentinels, the tower's robotic guardians, automatically activated, firing energy beams into the massive spatial rift where the Eater of Realities was trying to force its way in. However, the Eater of Realities' power was too immense. The tower's outer shell was being consumed by it, piece by piece. Finally, After what felt like millennia, Lyra sensed a shift. The fissures in the core of eternity gradually disappeared. The broken streams of light reconnected, forming a brilliant, complete network. The agonizing cries of distress gradually subsided, replaced by a symphony of restoration and awakening. The core of eternity was healed. As the core of eternity was restored, a colossal and pure energy surge erupted, not only filling the crystal tower but also radiating throughout the sub-dimension, expanding outward into real space. The core of eternity was stronger than ever, empowered by the primordial energy of Genesis' sanctuary. The Eater of Realities, outside the tower, sensed this sudden energy change. Its roar grew more ferocious. Filled with anger and despair, it began to attack the tower with frantic power, attempting to consume the crystal tower before it could pose any further threat. Lyra, now fully immersed in the restored core of eternity, felt power surging within her. She was no longer a mere individual, she was a part of the core, the embodiment of the entire Aethelian species. She knew it was time to confront the Eater of Realities. Lyra moved to the center of the crystal core, where the energy was most abundant. She focused her will, and a pure, dazzling stream of energy from the core of eternity poured out, enveloping Lyra. Her organic body transformed, becoming a colossal energy entity in Lyra's likeness, shining brilliantly like a star. This was the true form of a fully awakened Aethelian. With her new power, Lyra no longer needed a spaceship. She pierced through the crystal tower's outer shell, launching herself into space, directly confronting the Eater of Realities. The Eater of Realities was a colossal, moth-like creature, with deep, bottomless black eyes, and a vast maw constantly consuming space and matter. It was larger than anything Lyra had ever seen. A creature of pure destruction. "You will not consume my world again," Lyra roared, her voice echoing through space, not as sound but as the vibration of pure energy. The final battle began, with the full power of the core of eternity flowing within her. Lyra was no longer a mere individual but a fully awakened Aethelian entity. She soared through space, directly confronting the Eater of Realities, the colossal being that consumed existence. The Eater of Realities unleashed dark energy currents, twisting and distorting space, attempting to crush Lyra. But Lyra did not retreat. She countered with waves of pure energy from the core of eternity. Unlike the destructive energy of the Eater of Realities, Lyra's energy carried recreation, life, and eternal memories. Each time Lyra's energy clashed with that of the Eater of Realities, a blinding burst of light erupted, shaking the entire sub-dimension. The Eater of Realities roared furiously, enraged by this unexpected resistance. It spawned a swarm of mutated entities from its body, larger and more ferocious energy vortex than ever before, charging at Lyra like a hungry pack. Lyra could not let them reach the crystal tower. By manipulating energy, Lyra created a colossal energy net that enveloped the crystal tower, protecting it from attacks. Simultaneously, she used the core of eternity's power to launch multidimensional attacks, piercing through the defenses of the mutated entities. Each attack released a wave of memories and knowledge, causing the entities to convulse, screaming as their primal nature was forced to confront truth. Many mutated entities, unable to withstand the purity of the core of eternity's energy, dissolved into dust. However, Lyra knew these monsters were merely a distraction. The primary target was the Eater of Realities. Lyra realized that the Eater of Realities did not merely consume matter and energy, it consumed the concept of existence, consumed memory, and consumed truth. Its weakness lay in that very nature. She concentrated all her energy, not for physical attack, but to create a colossal wave of primal memory. This was the essence of the core of eternity, containing the entire history of the Aethelian, past civilizations, moments of creation and love, all that the Eater of Realities sought to destroy. Lyra plunged directly into the Eater of Realities, piercing through its outer shell. Inside the Eater of Realities was a chaotic void, where reality was warped. Fragmented memories of the worlds it had consumed drifted aimlessly. Lyra saw desperate souls, pieces of worlds slowly vanishing. In that moment, Lyra unleashed the wave of primal memory. The pure energy of the core of eternity flooded inside the Eater of Realities. Memories of life, of love, of truth began to shine in the chaotic darkness. The Eater of Realities shrieked in agony, not from physical harm, but because it was being forced to confront the very thing it had always tried to destroy, the existence of memory and meaning. The core of eternity's energy not only repelled the Eater of Realities but also began to mend the spatial temporal tears it had created. Reality around them began to stabilize. The Eater of Reality's colossal body started to shrink, disintegrating. The memory fragments it had consumed were gradually released, a flickering light from lost worlds returning. Finally, with a terrifying roar, the Eater of Realities vanished completely, leaving behind nothing but a restored region of space and lingering lights of memory. Lyra, exhausted but victorious, reverted to her organic form. Drifting in space, the crystal tower, now protected, shone brightly in the sub-dimension, and the core of eternity within it pulsed powerfully, brimming with life. After the grand battle with the Eater of Realities, Lyra returned to the crystal tower. The tower remained largely intact, protected by the core of eternity's final energy layers during the critical moment. However, it still bore the scars of the conflict, poignant evidence of the catastrophe that had occurred. Lyra entered the crystal core, where the core of eternity pulsed powerfully, brimming with light. All fissures had vanished, and the symphony of memory and knowledge resonated throughout the space, now full of vitality and hope. Lyra, as a fully awakened Aethelian and a living conduit to Genesis' sanctuary, began the monumental task of reconstruction. Her first mission was to seek out the surviving Aethelians scattered throughout the cosmos. Using the core of eternity's capabilities, Lyra broadcast a unique energy frequency, a summoning call, a signal of restoration, radiating across the stars. This signal, more powerful than any distress call before, carried with it the primal memories from Genesis' sanctuary, intended to reawaken the Aethelian who had been dispersed after the Great Fall. Not long after, Lyra began receiving responses. Small, faint energy streams from across galaxies started to converge towards the crystal tower. These were Aethelian, fragments of the core of eternity, who had survived by taking organic forms and hiding in the shadows. Much like Lyra herself had, some had become explorers, others scientists, or even outcasts on distant planets. Now, they were returning home. The journey back for these Aethelian was not always easy. Some were stranded on hostile planets, others hunted by forces unaware of their true nature. Lyra, with the support of the core of eternity, guided them, and sometimes, personally ventured out to rescue fellow Aethelian in peril. During these journeys, she reunited with familiar faces from her memories, friends and colleagues she had thought lost forever. As the Aethelian returned to the crystal tower, Lyra helped them reconnect with the core of eternity. This process was not as painful as Lyra's connection to Genesis' sanctuary, but rather a healing and regenerative experience. The Aethelian gradually recovered their full memories, and once again, they became part of the shared network of knowledge and emotion. The crystal tower, now the heart of a reborn species, began to be repaired and rebuilt. Lyra and the other Aethelian used the knowledge from the core of eternity and the energy from Genesis' sanctuary to regenerate systems, restore destroyed areas, and even upgrade the tower, transforming it into a more advanced center of knowledge and technology than ever before. They also constructed a new, return gateway, a safe passage to the original Aethelian home planet, where the core of eternity could be permanently anchored once again. Aethel, the living planet, also began to revive, with the purified energy from the restored core of eternity. The energy veins beneath the planet's crust glowed once more. The organic forests flourished, and the core of eternity was reconnected with the planet's essence. The Aethelian species, once pushed to the brink of extinction, was now experiencing a renaissance. They not only reclaimed what was lost but also advanced further. With the memory of the Eater of Realities and the lessons from the catastrophe, they became more cautious, but also more open to other species in the universe. They formed alliances with species that had helped Lyra, such as the Xylos, sharing knowledge and technology to build a peaceful and prosperous galaxy. Lyra, more than just an Aethelian scientist but a true hero, became the unspoken leader of her species. She led not by authority, but by her wisdom, courage, and vision. She guided the Aethelian in peaceful cosmic exploration, seeking new knowledge, and safeguarding the existence of memory and truth in a vast universe. The story of Lyra and the Aethelian Renaissance became a legend, a reminder that even when facing complete annihilation, hope, memory, and unwavering will can triumph.